6. Testing. Okay, I got some. Resume record. All right, let's get rolling. January 18th, 2023. Happy New Year. Our Hamburg IDA meeting. Attendance: Bob Hutchison here, Janet McGregor Clark
Here.
Tom Moses
Here.
Andy Palmer here, Dave Pekulski
Here.
Bob Reynolds
Here.
and we have Jennifer and Mary and Francesca on with the Hamburg Sun. We'll start with our Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. All right, motion to open the January 18th Hamburg, New York IDA Board of Directors meeting at 7:34 a.m. So
Second.
thank you. First item on the agenda are the minutes from December 14th, 2022.
Motion to approve.
Thank you, Bob and Bob. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, and it's our second. Next item is the financial report from December 31st, 2022.
Morning, everybody. Just bear with me today because I got a little lengthy report here going on, so. We had, over this month, we had $32,000 in gross product, income this month. Our expenses, with payroll was $28,553.43. And our total office expenses was $28.67. So with the total expenses and everything added, we had a total income of $3,008.53 for December. I'd like to point out the January, December thing on here that we have. So I went back and made sure our budgets were in line. So we had allocated about $228,000 for income this year. We came up with $191,930.62. We allocated, go back here, for expenses. We had we allocated, sure I get this right, $221,649.32 for expenses this year. Because we were a little short on income, executive director and management team up here, we kept our expenses down to $183,951.98. So that really offset our loss of income. So it was over about $20,000 savings. So right now, right on budget, we're actually over a little bit. We made some money this year, but I just want to kind of point that out. We did save in many areas here, coming down. IT support, we had $2,500 and $710. Those are examples coming down against our budget. Now, this is an unaudited report, but I just want to make sure you see that we stayed on budget for the 2020 budget that we adopted. Again, we adopted a budget for 2023 already, so we'll have to stay on top of that. But as this report is written, I'd like to have somebody motion to approve. One last thing, that's why I said it's long. So want to move to the second page. So right now, our total liabilities, we have $1,072,932.75 in our account as of December 31st. On December 31st, 2021, we had $1,065,115. So you can see we did a plus $7,000 over the overall year. So that's very good. We've been watching what we're doing here. So I make a motion to approve the financial report for our Hamburg IDAs for the month of December.
I will second his motion.
All right, thank you, Janet. Any questions?
Just want to thank the team, the executive committee, and the treasurer here, because I mean, have a budget surplus in 2022. That's a good job, and Sean and Mary, the board member. I appreciate you guys' work.
Yes, just remember this is an unaudited report, so we still have to the audit.
I'll still say congratulations.
Okay.
Audit.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried for December 31st, 2022. Couple of quick updates I'd like to review. We still have project closings. We did close Lake Shore Brewery, which represented that income in December. We have KH Industries, South Precision Machine, Mission Hills Phase 4. In the, still in the pipeline to be closed. I did see in the village planning meetings, stuff went back to the planning department because the building is going to be larger than initially planned, so, I don't know, they're probably working internally to determine their costs. So we might, just be aware and cognizant that they may be back for some change in costs due to the inflation, due to the building size also, but that's great. Glad to hear that the project is still on track and that it's larger even than initially
So
planned.
Sean, are they all settled out on all their internal stuff with the ownership, do you know?
I don't know.
Okay.
I mean, a private company, so,
Yeah.
so I don't, like, in terms of IDA, they have their, they have their sales tax letter.
Yeah.
So they're eligible to make sales tax exempt purchases on the project, but, we're working with their attorney, Mike Chabon, to work towards closing. So, yeah, I don't know where, what the structure of the internal.
Okay, because that was our big thing.
We'll have it all sorted out at closing to make sure the proper people.
Right.
Closing.
Thank you.
Next is, there is a new, committee amongst the local IDAs in the county for an office space working group. It's just a proactive committee. Doesn't impact us as largely because we have a deficiency in the amount of office space in the town. But potentially adaptive reuse and how can we structure adaptive reuse projects? Typical forecast from commercial real estate is that the office market is going to contract by about 10% in the upcoming years. And that data, I've highlighted to the working group, typically does not and it does not carry sublease activity. So, if there is a company, XYZ, I don't even want to use a name, that's potentially contracting, they're leasing 60,000 square feet in the Buffalo market. And now they only need 20 because their staff are working hybrid now. And they're looking to sublease because they're leasing the space for 10 or 15 years. That's not counted in those numbers. So the numbers could potentially be a higher. But you're looking at a 10% contraction. So certainly things like multifamily, which that market is hot, or other uses that could be compatible with prior office space, looking for an adaptive reuse project with the developers in the area. So that's what we're working on. We had a kickoff meeting in December. There is new IDA legislation that was signed into law by the governor. This is going to require IDAs to provide certified mail notification to the taxing jurisdictions. So before a project is approved, we would need to mail the resolution that would be on the agenda, approving any incentives to all the taxing jurisdictions. In addition to that, we would need to provide certified mail notification for any pilots that would be expiring within 2 years. So it's more administrative, and current practices are that we copy, certainly, you are representatives. I think Hamburg and maybe other industrial development agencies don't have the makeup that we have, which is nice to provide communication back to the taxing jurisdictions. So obviously your involvement is huge in communicating back to the taxing jurisdictions what's going on. We also copy the taxing jurisdictions with our meeting agendas, our meeting minutes, everything's on the website, but this is certainly another layer of management. So, we're always looking out for legislation. This one's relatively neutral, just another layer of paper and man loading.
And you do now, when you, after closing, when a new pilot goes into effect, that does go to each taxing jurisdiction, so they know that it started.
Okay, so we have to do everything beforehand?
We have to do it at closing as we do now.
Okay,
And then we send a copy of the memos of leases and all the relevant information. But now, 2 years before that pilot expires, you have to send out notices.
I'm just so happy that New York State is so proactive on the logging industry and also the UPS, or not UPS, the United States Postal Service and their support.
so the Village of Blaisdell, we got a project in here. Do we have to notify them like 2 weeks in advance or a week in advance or?
Andy represents the Village of Blaisdell. Davis represents the Frontier Central
Right.
School District. Mayor Moses represents the Village of Hamburg,
Right,
and Cam Hall represents the Hamburg Central School District. The one thing in our makeup is all taxing jurisdictions are represented. And then the rest of us serve at large
right.
by appointment of the town of Hamburg board.
So-
So it's, for us,
It doesn't make.
it's bureaucracy at its
Yeah.
best, but you know what? We're good people and we'll just do what we gotta do.
So my point is then, do we have to do it within a 2 week period before a meeting to notify our?
I have to look.
I don't think there's any specific time frame.
Yeah, it may, you know, because typically our agendas are, you know, locked the Thursday before when we have our Wednesday meetings.
Right,
I'd have to go back through the law to see what, so we do, like, so in addition to the explanations, we have to send the resolution to the taxing jurisdiction. So before a pilot is even approved.
Meeting. It's noticed in the paper, so it's one more step and we'll suck it
I'm
up.
notifying the village right now, we should be sitting at the table, right? I mean, in theory, you guys are all at the table and we're notifying, right?
to be certified mail.
By certified mail, so we gotta send out.
So instead of 57.5
Honestly, it is not cheap.
Yeah, it's not.
That has to be notified
mailing.
mailing, just for mailing. It's another unfunded mandate.
And you may wish to look at in the future increasing your application fee.
Yeah,
Because now you're gonna have all. this
Increased costs.
mailing.
because that would definitely increase development.
So, yeah, it's up, you know, it's just up to the monitor, and like Jennifer said, you know, from time to time as we revisit our fee schedules. You know, it may be something that we want to, you know, to visit, or at least, you know, our management can provide, you know, the cost. But yeah.
I live in a world of unfunded mandates, so this just is like, this is.
In terms of impact to us, you know, it's, you know, it's another layer, it's relatively neutral. And I do think it's designed among IDAs who do not have the makeup. So I think, you know, having the makeup with the constituents represented from each of the taxing jurisdictions is important.
And then write that into the law saying unless you have representation on, you know, if you don't have any.
However,
I'm sorry.
notifying 2 years before it's up. The town, the taxing jurisdiction has that information already.
Correct,
They
because,
should be tracking it,
correct,
not the idea, I mean, the idea, yes, we're tracking it, but it's up to the town to track it as well.
Well, we all utilize it every year at budget time. We go to our schedule of pilots
Yeah.
while we're doing our budget, so we know when
in
it's coming off.
my experience, the towns and the villages keep a spreadsheet of when the pilot started, when it expires. I have no idea what they do with the county.
And just quite honestly, Mary, every year, Mary sends out to every taxing jurisdiction an updated spreadsheet for their files.
Yes.
And
The
when
schools-
it's
the
coming
schools do
up.
their own billings, we do the billing for the county now. And the other item is. I participate with the finance department, you know, for the town in a town capacity. For the bond review, so we talk pilots and what the pilot billings are and what the project flow is, because that impacts the town bond review.
It's not.
And Sean, I got a letter from you yesterday advising me of something coming off the schedule.
Okay.
Yeah.
From there.
So is that includes special districts? too?
No, the law is.
District kind of thinking you have their already taxed.
I think the law says a letter on each.
Yeah, so I mean, it's, you know, we want to be compliant. love it or not, so this is something like I was thinking, Mary, like the project, that sheet that you created, that project, template or whatnot, we'll have to add just another space in there. We essentially have checkboxes, is this done? Is the public hearing scheduled? Is it, do we have the, receipt back from the, the affidavit of printing, basically all the administrative, things that we have to check. It's another box that we'll add in
So
there.
would it be better
Why?
if we send our board package out, we all get it by email? So, and all our resolutions are in there, right? So we have a taxing district. So would it be better, budget wise and everything, to send every month just a certified letter, here's our agenda, and everything's on that agenda that they need notification on, right? And send it out every month, and then she just puts it in a budget, sends it out, we know what the cost is gonna be every month. And right, and then we don't have, then we're done with our responsibility, it sounds like to me. Because all we have to do is notify them.
Yeah, on the front end and on the back end. Yeah,
So
so
the
we could
back end, we
potentially,
do after it's approved.
well, we
anyway,
could do the back end as well, whether or not it's 2 years, that spreadsheet, we print it out. We send it via certified mail. That's something to look. I mean, it would just kind of,
It's streamlined the
it's
process.
streamlined.
We got a pool of like, who actually reads it, is there a way to track it, let's see who
Well, who do
reads
you,
it?
what do you have? The village administrator? you told?
Yeah, I
Yeah,
get it.
I know, I'm just saying.
then we sent to school districts, right? And the town.
2 school districts, the town, the village, and the county.
Well, here's the big rub.
And then we have on Friday, Harry just.
I'll look into the cost.
Yeah.
Into the cost of that, and then, versus, maybe
Since it has to be certified. I mean,
6 months a year, doing 12 months a year, it may just, kind of. We would do it and then be done with it.
If there's
And
some
they-
sort of amendment to be done at the last.
Well, it's in the packet, because it was
in the next
month.
month's.
But we have to go in. I mean, we've made changes to a resolution. At this meeting.
I don't think the law states that you have to. It says you have to send them a resolution.
And it's a
Even
draft.
if the Assembly and Senate in New York State, they amend resolutions on them.
It's
Yes.
a draft resolution until it's voted on and.
And actually, if they read our minutes, because it's in our board package, they would know what happened at the last meeting when we approved it, didn't approve, so they would know automatically everything that's going on. From that meeting. So it's something to take a look at it that way.
Yes, sir. The big rub here is, it's taken somebody's time to do this
Absolutely, that's right.
paperwork that could be put in a much more productive use, from our director and our assistant. It just eats up valuable time.
I would suggest, Sean, that, I don't know if we have an account, but the United States Postal Service, will literally, you get a lot cheaper deals if you have an account, like an online account, you can.
We may have to look into that. I mean, typically now what we do is we buy, maybe every quarter or $100 in postage. We used to, we'd be able to sneak it through the clerk's office, but yeah, they cut us off.
$100 ain't gonna get you nowhere with this kind of mailing, certified mailing.
So expensive now.
A suggestion to change it, since we can use email for everything, why not be able to email us?
It says certified.
Five minutes.
Maybe we should look at that, that it should be.
Well, lobbying and all, and in March, we let me to the IRS.
You've been lobbying for 30 years, what has it got us, Bob?
That's a new law. I'm not a professional. If you want to start paying me professional, I'll be down there every weekend for that.
Move along here.
All right.
Anyways, you should look at it, come out streamlining this.
We did have a meeting, we went also, kind of with the IDA in Pitch Hamburg, so we did connect with John Gilmore. Certainly, keeping projects, get him in the loop, engaged with projects within the IDA. I do have a meeting on the 19th with a new representative from the SBA, Virginia Smith, on the hub zones. And there was a policy that we received notification of through the ECIDA. They are proposing to amend the uniform tax exemption policy to have an economic inclusion policy. So this is not impacting us unless we would choose to do so. It's a economic inclusion pilot policy, EIPP, to maximize opportunities for minorities and women for economic process. There would be potentially additional real property tax abatements above and beyond the standard UTEP. This would be for companies that have a minimum of 30% MWBE utilization rate for construction and 30% for job creation or retention. So they can actually boost in this EIPP, they can boost one level, one tier. If they would have construction activities, 30% or more involving MWBE, and then a second tier if they would have also permanent employment at the, at the project site of MWBE. So that was reviewed. They had a public hearing. They reviewed the policy. There were no comments. We do have, in terms of economic inclusion, on our pilot matrix. So basically our project scale, if there is MWBE employment involved in the project, they actually receive an additional point. So that point structure is our scale to identify whether or not it's a 5-year, a 7-year, or a 10-year pilot. So there's no arbitrary basis to say, Janet gets a 10-year pilot versus a 7-year. There's, the amount of the project, the amount of employment, the types of jobs, those all generate the pilot amount or the pilot term. So that MWBE category would also potentially help to boost a project from a 7-year to a 10-year pilot. So that's the measure that we have. I was just wanted to inform the board. We brought it up. I brought it up in executive, and we just wanted to, talk to the full board about the change in the UTEP. And it would be up to, us if we would decide to involve something of the sort. Certainly, again, from an administrative perspective and talking with the, the certified mail issue, we would have to manage that. So if we would provide a higher rating, we would then have to go back and, have, either us or an outside consultant or some management system to identify, are they indeed, providing the labor that they had, promised at the onset of the pilot. Any questions or comments? Okay. Monthly look ahead is state of the town, Thursday, January 26, 5:30 at Hamburg College. I will be in attendance. HDC, our Hamburg Development Corporation, our loan fund annual meeting breakfast is Thursday, January 31st at Ilios. Tuesday, right? That's a Tuesday. And our next board meeting is February 15th. And,
I will be absent.
so from our next meeting? Okay.
I will be too.
For that. Thanks for the heads up.
Yep.
Okay, on to new business. We do have in our budget and issued the membership support to Invest Buffalo for $5,000. This is a motion to approve the $5,000 sponsorship membership to Invest Buffalo, and the funds were marked in the 2000 P3 budget. So moved.
So moved.
Thank you, Bob.
Second.
Thank you, Janet. Any questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Oh yeah. Everybody loves this one. This is your annual reminder for sexual harassment training. I know we will jump on that.
Yay.
Very, we send me the line.
Very provide it. I know everyone's,
I know the answers.
we to attend that. Any guests have an interest in privilege of the floor?
Any guess?
Any members have interest in executive session? And a motion to adjourn the January 18th meeting.
We do a nomination.
Oh, you know what? This should be in my director report. Before we adjourn, We will look for nominations and vote for the February meeting. Mary provided the organizational chart and the description of activities. If anyone has interest, or if they don't, I will look to the current committees to stay intact. But please do review that and think about it in the upcoming, month.
So they would just stay the same, what it's been.
Potentially, yes, if there would be an expressed interest. So,
There's two people, 3 people now, 2 people.
3.
so we, do you want to back up? I work for you, you're telling me what you want to do.
Jamel, how you doing?
Motion to adjourn at 7:59 AM. Thank you,
Second.
Sandy. Thank you, Janet. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay.